The reigning world champions just went up against their toughest opponents yet in Masters Bangkok, and they not only won, but they dominated the Pride of the Americas G2 into 13-4 obliteration on Fracture to clinch a top 4 spot in playoffs.
So it might just be EDG living up to their legacy.
While this might not be a shock for many, as they are after all the world champions, with King at the wheel still, but what is shocking is that the Opping God had made so many drastic changes to his agent pool and how he even plays the game, yet he still looks otherworldly as he conquered this other top tier team, who has the likes of Jajumo, Leaf, and Trent shooting back the entire map. So I wanted to dive into the changes King has made to his game and how that has allowed this EDG team to thrive even after reaching the peak of the esport and helping erase the champion's curse in the process. King, before becoming the king of the Valorant world, had a much more one-dimensional yet just as impressive identity. He was and still is the Op God. While of course his Opping excellence continued into their faithful champions run last year, he made a noticeable adjustment that served wonders for his team. Instead of playing Jett and Raze on most maps like he was known for, he took advantage of the meta at the time and picked up the Neon, which turned out to be an unstoppable force on the biggest of stages, as he ran over the best players in the world to put together the best grand finals performance in Valorant history.
There's no f***ing way. I'm over, I'm done. I'm leaving.
As they lifted the 4th ever world championship. This adaptation by an already elite level player instantly put King up as possibly the best player in the world. But while he was sitting at the top of the game, it seemed like just like for every other champions team before him, he and his team would be cursed. Especially as over the 4-month-long offseason, 2 new agents were introduced into pro play. And a new map pool was coming into the game, seeing the entire 2024 meta thrown out the window before the season even started. So the Champions Curse seemed to be in full swing as they went into their first few maps in the kickoffs. Against Nova, they were able to win a 2-0 sweep, but they didn't look as prepared for this new meta as Vice and Deadlock and Split would poke holes into EDG's more standard comp, with only one main difference being Simon on Tejo. Luckily, King carried even on the nerfed Neon, who everyone before the event was calling dead. But against Trace, they'd be exposed as Trace pulled off some innovative and forward-thinking ideas and comps, like the same Vice Deadlock combo, but instead on Bind, which completely cooked King and his team as the champion's MVP went -13, as this new meta was stopping what made him one of the best in the world. He couldn't explode onto sites and eliminate the pivotal anchors, or push deep with the op and get the opening kill every round. Instead, the Vice was isolating him on both the Raze and Neon, who are perfect for fast pushes, but terrible when you're trying to prod, which would lead to this massive upset and everyone to start talking about the Champion's Curse visiting another team. But this is when King and EDG showed that they were built different, as while King continued to try and make his agent pool work in the current meta to a more spread out duelist pool, with him evenly playing Neon, Raze, and Jett, all while continuing to be the best Opera in the world. In the process, even breaking the round win streak, which was sick to watch.
Are just out here breaking records. 13-0 after 13-0ing their last game yesterday. 30 rounds in a row.
But while this run for King and EG would be viewed as impressive, given how much they adapted their team comps and strats after struggling when it was clear that Tejo and Vice were going to be must-use agents. For King during this, he did make a real shift away from his identity from last year, albeit less Neon now. So while everyone still highly respected this team going into Masters Bangkok, they weren't given the same level of respect that a reigning world champion should be given going into their first international back due to this rocky start. But little did everyone know during this 2-week-long break, Edward Gaming and King would train and prep for a whole new look going into the Masters to throw everyone off, especially their first opponent, Team Liquid. Surprisingly, EDG would come out on the big stage and not play it safe with old comps, but would pull something brand new on both Split and Pearl. This might seem weird for the reigning champions to do so after seeing so much success, but looking through EDG and King's history, they've always been one to completely change up their looks from how they play in regionally to how they play internationally, with it actually being one of the biggest complaints leveled at the team prior to them winning champions. But here, this ability to quickly change everything towards the current meta paid off spectacularly. While in an exciting split, they continue to look similar to their first time playing it, but King actually decided to move back to Jett, which paid off huge in overtime. As with Raze, he wouldn't be able to take a lot of these late duels against Yoru and Raze combo that Team Liquid was running. allowing King to drop 33 kills just behind Chichu, who has actually looked like the perfect smokes player right now. This was an important overtime win, as this was a must win for Team Liquid, since EDG had this big agent change, with King showing that he understands what the meta is going and is willing to embrace the changes, as with nobody picking up the Taeho and Chichu playing the Vice, he for the first time in the VCT since the Chinese Stage 2 Grand Finals last year would be playing Yoru. While there are rounds where he didn't look the cleanest with the agent, like in round 7 where he quick pushes down B main and doesn't check this common angle for Yoru to be playing. This careless mistake happened in a few rounds that made the map closer than the two teams were playing. Yet he still won 6 out of the 9 first duels, with him shutting down the lurking Nats 4 different times at the beginning of the round, which consistently put the already mentally exhausted Team Liquid on the back foot, as EG run away with it on their defending side to send Liquid down to elimination, and put themselves 1 match away from making top 4 at a Masters right after winning Champions. But with their next match being up against G2, it seemed like they'd have to play at the championship level we've seen from this team only in glimpses, and have yet to truly see this season. There were just a lot of doubts yet again towards this team, and King took it and made it a chip on his shoulder, with him for the second time picking up Yoru, which is still called his most uncomfortable agent pick, but he's using it to face up in the tense first match against the other previous World Championship duelist, Jajimo, mirroring him on the other side. While EG and King have had to prove themselves a billion times already to a Western audience, I think this match against G2 was the final pound of proof that this team's run in Champions wasn't a fluke off the back of a buffed Neon, but rather because they are the world's best no matter the meta. He was already looking a lot more comfortable on the agent, with him yet again on the defense really stepping it up in the final few rounds on the op, picking up another 5 kills, with rounds like round 16 showing how EDG plays off the op even when he has his rare misses. Or in round 26, where King shuts down Trent to completely stop any important rotation, all because he was able to be in a spot with the op that Yoru would allow him to be on Pearl. While they would just barely lose in a 5th overtime, this was a great change for King and EDG, showing how they can adapt in a moment's notice and compete to the very end against the best of the best on their opponent's map picks. And G2 would need to pull this overtime win off because they would have been swept. As on Bind, King was explosive on the Raze, as well Jajimo was getting the better of him in their individual duels. He was the much needed difference to win the final few attacking rounds as the entry, which was set up by Smoggy on Brim just diffing everyone on G2 during the defending half. In the deciding map 3, EDG showed why they're the best in the world last year, and should be considered that still even as other teams make intriguing changes, because they can make changes too. As Fracture was not even close, as King went back to what made him broken in Champions, with Neon, with him getting the first kill in almost half of the 17 rounds, as the set plays with the rest of the team made him look as good as ever, even with the major nerfs that slowed down every other Neon. It of course helped that Chichu and Nobody were playing even better than him in this map. But what King was doing on Neon was also just looking different than what he was doing back in the previous meta, as well he knows that he can't just push up for every fight like before because of the space clearing util and flashes that Taeho and Vice brings, that combined with the breach makes many attacks by other Neons impossible to pull off, which has led to many teams starting to use Raze or Yoru. But because King has adapted and started to use the Neon in a slower, more methodical way, he's able to clear space on the defense as almost a lurk, leaning more onto his next level game sense rather than explosive entry play, then just finding his moments to pick up not just one easy flank kill, but then turn his more aggressive playstyle on to end a round right there by getting a multi-kill.
Yeah, there we go. We said at one point he would win the 1v1.
With this map, like many others recently, showing that he's nowhere near close to that one-dimensional player that people were seeing him as. Right now, King is possibly the only entry player that can play all 4 main duelist agents, and tailor his playstyle towards each different agent, without completely losing what makes him so special. This is the reason why they just ran away with the map against what a lot of people, myself included, viewed as a team that almost plays perfect Valorant.
Might just be EDG living up to their legacy with a monstrous 13-4 decimating.
Make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss a video during the rest of this exciting Valorant season.